Good evening, and welcome to the Night Owl, where the shadows come alive and the things that roam around in the dark are brought to light, and fear finds its voice. And whether you're a first-time visitor or a returning Night Owl, it's great to have you. And this is the other side of the Bird Brain Podcast. I must warn you, content may contain adult language and scenarios that may not be suitable for all audience members, so listeners' discretion is advised. You know, we're always told, never talk to strangers, or don't take anything from anybody you don't know. Or even when you go to a party, make sure you hold on to your drink. But sometimes, the people we think we know the best are typically the strangest ones we will ever know. Lock your doors, check your windows, and get comfortable, because you probably won't be sleeping tonight. I give you, take a hike. Growing up, I used to watch this TV show, and at the end of each episode, there was this guy walking down the side of the road with his thumb out. I was too young to fully understand what he was doing. I guess he was looking for a ride, but I never wondered why he didn't just have his own car. He was always angry on the show. He would turn green and huge, like the size of a house, before he started tearing things apart. But even angry people are allowed to have cars. My parents, for example. It's just that when they got angry, they didn't turn a different color. But I'd heard stories about people on the side of the road. I'd seen movies about it too. And they never ended well. For the record, the green guy never seemed to get a ride either. Never talk to strangers. That was the rule. But everyone I know has been a stranger at some point, right? Friends, the mailman, cashiers, neighbors with dogs, all strangers at first. My parents taught us to be polite, to be helpful, and always willing to connect with others. But of course, there were limits. If someone looks like they need help, you help them, they'd say. But they also said, don't get into any weird cars. It's kind of ironic considering we drove a station wagon with flames on the side, eyelashes on the headlights, and a pair of balls dangling from the hitch. Yeah, but don't get into weird cars. I met plenty of strange people growing up, especially church. One family in particular, they always stood out. They seemed nice, but in a way that something wasn't quite right. You get me? They were off. I didn't know how to describe it then, but I knew something was wrong. They'd always ask me if I could come over to help feed their dogs. They'd never ask my parents. And because of that, my parents never let me go. Thank God for that. No pun intended. As I got older, a friend once told me, adults don't need help. And even as an adult today, that line still gives me chills. She wasn't saying people don't need help in general. She meant that if an adult is asking for help from a child, something's not right. I mean, that's what she taught her kids too. I used to walk home from school, and every day this family would drive by, right on cue. They homeschooled their kids, so I always wondered where the hell they were coming from. And their timing was impeccable. And every time, there was a different person in the last row of their minivan. Hey, we're on our way home. You want to ride? No thanks, I'd say. I'm meeting my brothers at the library. My brothers didn't read, but they didn't need to know that. My brothers I nicknamed Chaos and Discord, but I know they always had my back. I told them about the family and about my walks home, and we made sure to have a plan in case something happened. Always a plan. Hey, come on, we're going your way. I'd always scan the van, and each time something in my gut told me no. So each time I'd say, no thank you. And each time, that feeling in my stomach grew worse. You hear people say, trust your gut. And most people ignore it. But I didn't. Not this time. Not ever. A few months later, the family vanished. They just up and sold their home and skipped town, and no one at church heard from them again. And life moved on. The memory of them faded too. I built a good life. I started a youth center to teach self-defense in my hometown. And life has a way of shaping you like that, molding you in ways you don't even realize until later. I kept busy, and I kept kids safe. Made sure they had someone looking out for them, just like my brothers had looked out for me. When I visited home, I'd always make sure I stopped by my dad's shop. My brothers and I coordinated trips home whenever we could and made sure to spend time with the folks. And it was hard to leave sometimes. So I always made my goodbyes quick. It was easier that way. One visit, I stayed a little bit later than usual, but I made sure to leave just before dark. I wanted to hit the highway and make it home before it became impossible to see on the roads. An hour out of town, my car started riding uneven. It was a flat tire. I pulled over and got out, and I checked it. And to my surprise, there was a crucifix lodged deep in my tire. No idea how it got there. No real time to think about it either. And then I heard a voice behind me. Hey, Jay, you need a ride? Chills shot down my spine. I knew that voice. I knew the sound of the car. It was them, the family, the Myers. 20 years later, same minivan, same smiling faces. I looked closer, and the person in the back seat wasn't moving. A cop pulled up before I could say anything, so I waved the family off, and I had never been more relieved. When I got home, I called my brothers and told them what happened. They didn't answer initially, but when I finally got a call back, they had something to tell me. They saw them too, the Myers, the family, outside their house, just waiting. So there you have it. Stay tuned for another story to keep you up at night. And in the meantime, if you like what you're listening to, you can rate, subscribe, or tell other people what you like about this podcast. It goes a long way. And I love having you guys along the way. that being said, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, sleep tight.